Okay, so before we start the class, we're going to have a little vocabulary lesson. I feel like if we learn 3-4 Hebrew words that are all related to each other, then the class will go much smoother. So the word that we're trying to understand today is the word chalila. Now, I don't know if you're familiar, but I remember like this term, especially if you speak Hebrew, chas v'chalila is like God forbid. So this word chalila is going to be in the pasuk, and we're going to try to understand what it means. So you already have a hint because you already know chas v'chalila is an expression that we use for God forbid. So Rashi is going to give us 2 different explanations for this word chalila. One is chulin. Chulin means mundane. I'm going to give you other words. What other word that has the same root also means mundane? And that is chol. Like we have Shabbos and we have the days of the week are chol. We have chol hamoed, right? So chol hamoed is the days that are more mundane within the holiday. So chulin means mundane, and very interesting. I remember from, I speak Hebrew at home, but do you know how to say a rocket ship in Hebrew? So a rocket ship actually is a chalalit, is a rocket ship. So again, you have halal, and so anything that has, so rocket ship is chalalit, has the same shoresh as chulin, which means mundane. So basically, what does mundane mean? Mundane means that it's empty of holiness. There's space that doesn't have holiness in it. That's what mundane means. A rocket ship is going to outer space where there's a lot of space, a lot of empty space. So, and we learned last week in the Likkutei Sichos, last teaching was what happens when the pit is empty, has no water. Whenever you have empty space, it's always synonymous with a lack of holiness. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to give one more word, which is chas. And chas means pity. Chas means pity. Ches samach.
That's like pity?
Oh, so chas v'shalom, interesting. Chas means pity, and shalom means peace. But yet we use this term, chas v'shalom, to mean God forbid that God. So basically what it means is God should have pity on me, God should have mercy on me to prevent me from this action. So we just say pity and peace, but really we're not really saying that everything that we're not really completing the sentence, but we're kind of we're focusing on the pity part. Hashem, please have pity on me and stop me from doing this or prevent this from happening to me. Okay, so basically these are just a bunch of words that we're going to see again and again in this teaching. So I wanted to just like say them first so that it shouldn't scare us away. So basically, again, the word that we're dealing with in the pasuk, in the verse in our parsha, is chalila, and which comes from chulin, which means mundane. And I forgot. Oh, and one more word is I said a chalalit is a rocket ship, and all this comes from the root is halal, which means empty space. Okay, that was the main word. The main word is halal, which means empty space, and therefore everything else is all sharing that root. Okay, so now that we got the vocabulary out of the way, we're going to start. So basically, I sent the poem on the chat. It just says doc, whatever. It's not labeled properly, but it should be there. Okay. So, okay. So let's start. We can go around. Everyone can read a paragraph just to keep us on track. Welcome. Yes, please. If you can open it.
For their sake, the brothers did die. After they left, they were accused of the crime of stealing the goblet of the second. He said, illegal for your servants to do such a thing.
Okay, so what's the background? The background is that the brothers came down to Egypt, and they came with their brother Binyamin. And Yosef, who they don't know that it's Yosef, invites them to dine with him, and he has a special magical goblet, and he's able to look in the goblet and to tell each of the brothers where to sit in order of their age, and he puts Binyamin next to him. And after this whole dinner, Yosef sends all the brothers back with bags of food and everything, and he hides his goblet in Binyamin's bag. The brothers are so happy to leave Egypt. They're on their way out, and all of a sudden, Yosef's messenger chases them and says, "One of you stole the goblet. The goblet's missing." And what do the brothers say? They all answer this verse, and they say, Chalila for your servants to do such a thing. That's what they say. Chalila, we did, there's no way that we would have done this. Okay. So, let's take the next paragraph.
For the brothers who steal was below their dignity. On the word Chalila for your servant, two explanations are provided by Rashi. One, it would be chulin for us, an expression of disgrace. Chulin comes from the word halal, which means empty space.
Okay, so this is what Rashi says. He says chulin. It would be chulin for us. It would be mundane for us. And he adds, it's an expression of disgrace. Chulin, it means mundane, and Rashi adds that it's also disgraceful. Okay, let's take the next paragraph.
Chulin means mundane. Holiness it doesn't contain. Like you may fall the days of the week when the physical things to make a living we seek.
Okay, so that's what chol means. Chol means mundane, regular, weekday, ordinary. That's what mundane means. Okay, that's the first explanation. And what's the second explanation? Targum.
Targum says that Chalila means pity chas. In doing this, Hashem had pity and spira. In the Gemara, the expression chas v'shalom, pity and peace, is common. We use it to mean God forbid may it never happen.
Okay, thank you. So the second explanation is chas, which means pity. And it says for us to steal, that's a terrible thing. Hashem should have pity on us and never allow such a terrible thing to happen, that even accidentally we should come to stealing. Okay. Now, we have this word. Okay, this word Chalila we actually have in Parshas Vayera. We have the same expression, and over there, Rashi doesn't go into this whole lengthy explanation, giving us two explanations, telling us mundane and that it's an expression of disgrace, and that the whole thing about chas. He doesn't say that. He only says the first part of the first explanation, which means Chalila means chulin, that it means mundane. So the question is, When Rashi is explaining the definition of something, the first time where it comes up, that's where that's where you should explain what it means. Why wait till Parshas Mikeitz, which is a few parshas away, to give this whole full explanation of Halila? Why not say it all in Parshas Vayera? And there's a big difference, because in Vayera, okay, baby, in Vayera, it only says mundane, and in Mikeitz it says mundane, an expression of disgrace and a pity thing. So if that's the whole definition, then it should have said it. It should have said it in Parshas Vayera. Why is it saving it to Parshas Mikeitz? So what is really the difference between Parshas Vayera and Parshas Mikeitz? What happens in Parshas Vayera? Avram Avinu is having an argument with Hashem. Hashem wants to destroy the entire city of Sodom because the people were wicked. Avram says, what if there are 50 people in this city that are righteous? Are you going to destroy the righteous with the wicked? And what's if there's 40 people, 30 people, 20 people, 10 people? And then Avram realizes that there isn't even 10 people that are righteous, and Hashem destroys the entire city of Sodom. So over there, Avram Avinu uses this term Chalila. As Chalila, it's Chalila to you to destroy the righteous with the wicked. Everyone's going to say, oh, Hashem is so terrible that he's destroying the righteous with the wicked. And this is the expression that Avram uses. So what's the difference? The difference is in Parshas Vayera, Avraham is speaking to Hashem. In Parshas Mikeitz, the brothers are speaking about themselves, and they are human beings. So when it comes to Hashem, to say Chalila, Hashem, it's mundane for you. It's mundane for you to kill the righteous with the wicked. That is enough to get Hashem to listen. If it would have been relevant that they would have been righteous people, it would have been enough for Hashem not. What's mundane? So Hashem has many different levels, and there's many different lights and levels, right? So Hashem is very, very great. And so, but even from a level of Hashem's lower light, where it's relevant to Hashem and Hashem does care about the behavior of human beings, even from that low level, Hashem's light does not penetrate, does not go into the weekday, into the mundane. Hashem stays aloof. Hashem stays higher than physicality that's just physical with no holiness. Hashem stays above it. So Hashem, so right? Because we always know that Hashem fills all the worlds and Hashem surrounds all the worlds. So it's true. I've never seen this terminology before. So the only thing I could say is that there's a difference when you have physical things that are used, that are elevated and used for holiness. This would not apply. But if you have people that are not Jewish, that are not using any of their physical mundane things for a meaningful purpose, in that Hashem gives it life, but from a distance, from higher. Hashem doesn't go penetrate into it. Hashem stays above it. Hashem doesn't get into mundane where there's zero holiness and there's zero purpose and zero meaning. So when Avram Avinu says to Hashem, for you to kill the righteous with the wicked, that is mundane for you. And Hashem doesn't krich into the mundane. So this is enough that if there were righteous people, Hashem wouldn't have destroyed the entire city. It's enough to convince Hashem. But for regular people, even for the 11 of them, the brothers, who are tzaddikim, but for human beings, mundane is not so terrible because we're human beings and we're supposed to deal with the world and with the physicality and with mundane things. We have 6 days of the week that we have to go to work. We are busy with the mundane. So for the Shvatim, mundane by itself is not enough to convince who? Who are the brothers having a conversation with? A messenger of Yosef. A messenger, I remember learning in school that the messenger was Yosef's son. I don't know if that's true. But whether it was Yosef's son or not, from the brother's perspective, the messenger is an Egyptian who's not Jewish and is coming from a land of Egypt where everyone does mundane things. No one's doing things for a purpose. So the brothers are trying to convince an Egyptian non-Jewish messenger that they are innocent of taking the goblet. So what do they say? If they just say, oh, Chalila, it's mundane for us to take the goblet, that is not going to hold any water when you're talking to an Egyptian messenger, because mundane for an Egyptian is actually okay and fine, maybe even good, right? As long as they're not doing anything bad, right? So therefore, Rashi doesn't suffice and say Chalila means cholin, mundane, but he says Chalila, mundane, it's an expression of disgrace. He has to add as an expression of disgrace because if it's just mundane, then what are they even saying? How are they going to convince they're innocent by just saying, oh, it's mundane for us. It's mundane for us to take the goblet. Well, mundane, there's nothing wrong with mundane. So it wouldn't be enough to speak to the messenger. So therefore he says, not only is it mundane, but it's disgraceful for us to take the goblet. But then again, that's not enough, because if you have a very, very important person, right? A very important person, a king or someone who's very, very righteous. So if they're very, very great, then obviously it's disgraceful to take something that doesn't belong to you. But this messenger doesn't know who the brothers are. He doesn't know that they're great. So to say, it's mundane and disgraceful for us also doesn't hold so much water, because the messenger doesn't even know who they are. So therefore, Rashi cannot suffice with the first interpretation. And Rashi says, oh, Chalila means chas. Chas means, may Hashem have pity on us and prevent us from stealing, even if we don't know about it, which is the direct, the more clear and direct expression to use when you're speaking to a non-Jewish messenger of Yosef.
When you're using the word mundane, it sounds so like, you can elevate the mundane.
Correct. That's an excellent question, and hold it. That's an excellent question, because what you're basically asking is, why do the brothers even say this expression, Chalila? Oh, it's mundane for us to take the goblet. Why don't they just say, God forbid, there's no way that we took your goblet. We would never do such a thing. Why not be direct? Why is this whole roundabout wording that means, why are we even saying mundane? I mean, look, think about who you're talking to.
Is one of the things. So Chalila means that God forbid.
Right, which is Rashi's second explanation. So I have two questions. First of all, why is Rashi bringing it as a second explanation? Why isn't that the primary explanation? And why aren't they just being direct and just saying, Chas v'shalom, God forbid that we took it. Oh, it's mundane for us and it's disgraceful for us. What's going on?
And again, if you talk to the Egyptians, what is God forbid that it would take it? And also, they took the big part actually. From the Egyptian
What language were they speaking in?
Like, why would you trust them if it's mundane for them to steal and to do whatever? Why would they even?
Right.
They gotta believe that I would never do such a thing.
Right. So for them, for an Egyptian, something mundane is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And so if you say, oh, it's mundane for me to take it, it's mundane and therefore I wouldn't take it, that means nothing, because mundane behavior is perfectly fine. So why are they using this expression of mundane and disgraceful? Why can't you just say what you mean and just say, Chazal, we didn't take it. God forbid that we took it, or God shall have pity on us that we shouldn't take it even by mistake, that we should never come to a situation where we're stealing. Just say Chas v'shalom. So that's our question. That's basically our question. Why can't they just be direct? And what is going on here? And what lesson can we learn from our life? We spoke about this last time. If Yosef, if they found a goblet in Binyamin's sack, guess what? It's a lesson for us. We all have a goblet. There's a goblet in our lives. It's not just empty pit. Oh, Yosef was thrown into empty pit. What does that have to do with me? No, but we have an empty pit and we have a goblet. Everything that happened to them is all in our life. It's all a lesson for our life. It's not just a random story. So we have to understand.
The energy of that happens right, like that's the energy of the month, of the day.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. And now we're in Hanukkah. Nothing's random. Nothing is random. There's something. Oh boy. Does this connect to Hanukkah of what is the goblet in our life? What's our mission in life? All this we're going to discuss, all because of a boring discussion, a boring vocabulary discussion about this word Chalila and what it really means, and these explanations of Rashi. What you would like just skip over because it seems like I don't want a Hebrew lesson right now. So from this word we're going to learn tremendous lessons for our life. Okay, let's just catch up. Earlier in Parshas Vayera, who wants to read that?
Early in Parshas Vayera, we find similar wording as used here. Everyone pleased with Hashem and destroying Sodom entirely doesn't seem fair. With the wicked, will you destroy the righteous too? Chalila for you to do such a thing, Rashi explains, it would be chulin for you.
Yeah, it would be mundane for you, Hashem, to destroy the righteous with the wicked. Okay, let's continue.
In Parshas Vayera, the word Chalila is used about Hashem only, who is removed from mundane matters totally. Therefore, it's clear that a chulin mundane action for Hashem would be totally out of question.
Okay, so it's out of the question for Hashem to do something chulin, and therefore, just chulin is enough. In Parshas Vayera, for Rashi to explain, Chalila means chulin, and he could stop there. Okay.
However, in our first time, when we are talking about people, Rashi must add that taking the goblet would be disgraceful. Explaining Chalila as chulin wouldn't be enough, because for ordinary people, it is fine to do mundane stuff.
Yeah. So for us, for ordinary people to do chulin, well, 6 days a week we're busy with chulin, So therefore, Rashi can't suffice with that. Okay.
But seemingly, to speak clearly and directly would make more sense, since they were trying to convince Yosef's messenger of their innocence. The messenger was a Gentile in the Egyptian land. To view mundane matters as disgraceful, he wouldn't understand.
Therefore, a second explanation Rashi does bring. God forbid that we should have any connection to stealing. On us may Hashem have pity and make it impossible for us to slip and steal even accidentally.
Okay, so perfect. So now, why is the second explanation not the first one? And why is it second? It's because this word chas, to mean pity, we don't find it anywhere else in Torah. And therefore, it has to come second. Because there's no other place. There's no other place where, although chas v'shalom is written many times in the Gemara, chas by itself, Chas by itself, there's nowhere else where we find that chas means pity, and therefore it's only brought as a second explanation for the word. Chas means pity, but there's nowhere else in the Torah where the word chalila means pity. I apologize, I made a mistake. Chas means pity, but there's nowhere else in the Torah where the word chalila means chas. And therefore, it can't be the primary explanation. It could only be the second explanation. Okay, that's what it says in the next paragraph.
However, since you told the word Kalila, you never translated it as pity, its explanation is secondary.
Okay, now we're going to come to the exciting part. Okay. The truth is, the brothers said Chalila, and the messenger understood. They didn't actually say, they didn't actually say, oh, God forbid. They said the word Chalila, which means that it would be mundane for us, and the messenger accepted it. The end is that he still found the goblet, but what did they actually say? What was the story? What was the actual words that they said? They actually said mundane. And when they said this is mundane for us, they felt that would be sufficient for the messenger. Okay, let's read the next paragraph. But the truth is.
But the truth is that it would be close for us was enough proof that from physical things the brothers were aloof. It would be close for us was said that all the brothers together, there was a lesson for every Jew forever.
Yeah. So for the messenger was enough proof that they didn't take it just to say Chalila. They're saying we are this would be mundane for us. We're above this. And it's a disgrace for us to do a mundane thing, and that was enough for the messenger of Yosef. Now, what does this have to do with us? When it comes to the Avos, our forefathers, anything that they did, and any powers that they have, we have their powers, and we have to take a lesson from our forefathers. Now there are 12 Shvatim. If one Shevet did something, if one of the 12 tribes did something, is that a lesson for every single Jew? Not necessarily. But if all 12 tribes or all of them together say something, then yes, it is a lesson and it is applicable for every single Jew. So in this case, when they all said together, Chalila, this is mundane for us, this is a lesson for us. Okay, here comes the bomb. Okay.
A Jew must know that his being and entire identity is holy. His involvement with mundane things is only to elevate them to the state of purity. Just like the rest of the world rejects stealing, it is disgraceful for Jews to use physical things without purpose or meaning.
Okay. Right, we don't. Exactly. No, we don't anymore.
Even if it's like, right, it's not a swag, and then let's elevate.
There you go.
Oh, so, but if you steal and get seductive at work?
No.
No.
You do mundane things.
Stealing to mundane. That's the comparison.
Yeah, right.
Where if you're using something for just
No,
mundane,
it's disgraceful.
that's disgraceful.
Yeah. So basically, what you see, they didn't have Hasidus philosophy then. Okay, or maybe they. I'm saying that the Hasidus wasn't. Well, I guess they did have it. They didn't have it the way we have it today, but they had to have had it. But because they're tzaddikim, they must have had it because they had it intuitively. So much so that they say the word Chalila, which means that as Jews, even though you're a Gentile, you should recognize that because we're Jewish, we are we're elevated. We're different. And there's
had a story years ago. I bought a bike for my big boys. They were little then, and I came to repair it. That's it. And I said, oh yeah, the neighbors always want to use it, and then it breaks more often. I had like really good vibes for them, and I would come every couple of months to fix it, and they said, yeah, the neighbors want to use it, they know it's good bike, goes, oh yeah, you guys, like, you share, you know what I'm saying, or something like that,
Wow.
yeah.
So absolutely, we are different. And for us, we don't busy ourselves with mundane things for no reason. If we're interacting with the mundane, it's only to elevate it and to make it holy. Just to have a bike just for my own pleasure, not to share with anyone, that's not how we act. We share everything that we have. This they must have known then, and therefore they use this expression to teach us a lesson today, that to know who you are holy. Your being, your identity is holy, and because you're holy, you are above. You're above the regular nature, mundane things that limits everybody else. And we saw this open miracle. Sunday was pouring rain, and there were other menorah lightings that were canceled. And my husband said, we're not canceling. And the chief of police called my husband. We wanted a police escort. He said, I'm really sorry, but we need to cancel police escort because if it's raining, we need to have all of our cars out, out on the streets in case there's an accident, in case this, in case that. Wow. The winds were supposed to be so windy, and we can't spare any cars. And then the fire department said, oh, we're not going to send the fire truck for the gelt drop because we can't lift the ladder if there's so much rain and wind. And basically we were like, but the whole menorah, the car menorah parade, we drive from a park all the way down to downtown Toms River, and then in downtown Toms River we drive around, and we need the parking. We need to and a regular day, any other day of the week, downtown Toms River is not going to be empty enough for us to be able to park our 30 cars with menorahs, and for all the people that are coming to the event to have where to park. So we could only do it on Sunday. We didn't have an option to push it off like other people could. So my husband told the head of the chief of police. He said, "I'm pulling strings up on high. We're still doing this." And lo and behold, from we met at the park at like 5 o'clock. And from 5:30 till 6, we drove. We got to town hall 6:30 was the ceremony in town hall. Maybe it was supposed to be at 6. I don't know exactly. But for that time when we were driving, guess what? At 5 o'clock, the chief of police pulled up to the park and he said, "I made a mistake. I said that I'm not going to be able to escort you, but but it's not raining right now, so here I am." And the entire time that we drove in the menorah parade, it was not raining. And then we went inside and we had the ceremony, and then we came out. So it was drizzling a little bit, but nothing compared to the pouring rain that happened after. And this just goes to show that Jewish people were above. The weather forecast could say one thing, and we don't say, okay, I give up. The weather forecast said this, so there's no chance. My husband said, we're doing this for Hashem. My husband said, to do the parade, the menorah parade, he says, that goes against my nature. He's not that kind of guy that likes to, be in the public like that. He says, from all things I do, the menorah parade is only for Hashem. It's nothing for my ego or anything. It's only for Hashem. Hashem, he said it, and he meant it, and he believed it. Hashem could make it stop raining for that hour that we need it. And it did. It was incredible. And everyone was like shocked. Couldn't believe it. So this is what it means that we're holy. We are holy, and holy people have to act holy, and whatever they do is holy. You can't just do whatever you want. If you're a princess, if you're a king, if you're a prince, you dress a certain way, you act a certain way. You do some things, you do some things you don't do. You're not. It's a different. You're on a different level. You're on a different level. Yeah. So first of all, Bela said that we're already.
We need to.
No, but I think.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just so hard to be touchless. I'm touchless to the.
Yes, you are. You totally are. Amazing. It's amazing. No, but yeah. But thank God we've had the opportunity to learn Chassidus, and slowly but surely it creeps into our blood, into our veins, and we're becoming more. It's true that it's a hard thing, but when you come to this class, every time we come to this class and every time we learn, we're strengthening these muscles that we're becoming more aware. We become more aware when we choose what activities to do, when we choose what to watch, when we so I had this have to admit, I had this WhatsApp group where every single thing that's going on in Israel comes up, and every day I was wasting a significant amount of time because I had to see every single post about what's going on in Israel. And yesterday, after reading this, I deleted it. I said, I really, really care about what's going on in Israel. I really, really do. But when I'm sitting for 45, I'm nursing the baby anyway, whatever. When I'm on the phone for 45 minutes, checking every single post, I'm not accomplishing anything good for anybody. And I know I said this a million times, but I actually finally, said, that's it. I'm deleting it because I said it a few times and I didn't do it, but it takes a few times. You hear it again and you hear it again and you hear it again, and you're this close to deleting it. Yes, no. And then eventually you learn enough. It pushes you enough. We need pushes. Someone called me the other day and said, I have 3 children. I'm 34 years old. I have 3 children. I had a difficult pregnancy. I'm calling you to ask your advice if I should have more children. My husband was in the room and I put her on mute for a second and I asked, it's okay. And he told me, yes, I should encourage her, which I did. And after the conversation, she says to me, Hani, thank you so much. I really, really want to have more children. I just needed a little push. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't calling. She really wanted, but she knew what she wanted to do. She just needed a little push. So I'm saying every time we come here, it's another little push. It's another little push that yes, to be a little bit more mindful. Can I be mindful 100% of the day? I don't know, but I am more mindful now than I was 6 months ago or last week, because every time I learn, I become a little bit more aware. So
On the other flip side, what you were saying, let's say you're doing chesed for somebody, right? You're saying your husband has he doesn't care, he's just doing it for Hashem, right? But sometimes we're human, and I do a chesed, it makes you feel good, right? But you're still doing the chesed for the person, right? So if someone's benefiting, either way, we're human, right?
Right. So it's not mundane. It's not mundane. But it's
mundane maybe because I'm getting.
This issue has come up, and the Rebbe spoke about this issue, about people saying, but I gain and I benefit and it makes my ego or whatever. The Rebbe spoke about.
Always do it. Yes.
Or sometimes you don't think that, you think it's so mundane, and at the end of the day, you are getting far.
And also,
it's really a mitzvah, but you don't even feel it.
And also, someone else's mundane is your holiness. You know what I'm saying? If someone else needs a tissue, which is mundane, okay, for you, it's a holy act to give someone something that is mundane. My husband was sharing yesterday by menorah lighting and whiting. He said the menorah is all the candles, all have to be on the same level. Everyone is equal. You could be on the far right, you could be on the far left, you could be close to the center, everyone is equal. So someone asked my husband, okay, but what about the shamish? The shamish is higher.
That's not part of like it's, the ladder is
It's
not to the
the
right.
beauty of the leadership, it's the
Oh.
leader piece.
So the perfect. The shamish is the helper candle. The shamish is the one that helps all the other candles be lit. If you're helping,
Okay, I didn't want to walk in to hear that, but okay.
if you're helping, then you're higher. If you're helping, then automatically puts you on a higher plane because you're helping somebody else. Automatically, if you want to be higher, it's not by pushing someone down. It's by helping, being nice to someone else. That automatically puts you on a higher plane.
It's still attached, and the leader is still attached to the menorah. That means that doesn't make you better, you have to.
You
In other words,
need,
you know, someone else is like the shamish.
Yeah.
This scenario, you're like the shamish, and others you are one of the
You're the
level, and someone else is helping you. So
You
it's not
need
that
the candle, candles.
Yes, you have a position.
Candles.
Yeah. Like we need,
Yeah, there's no one without community, there's no leader without,
Right.
people like following, yeah.
But every one of us can be a leader when we go out of our comfort zone to help another person. The gashmius of another person is your ruchnius. It's not mundane. What's mundane, your physical needs are mundane for you, but other people's physical needs are for you providing for their mundane needs. That is your mitzvah. That's your spirituality. Absolutely. And that's why we spoke 2 times ago about what Chassidus accomplished. And we said that until Chassidus, the Rebbe and the Chassid were alone. But once one of the innovations of Chassidus is that the Rebbe and the Chassid have a relationship, that the Chassid's physical, material, parnasa issues, right, is important to the Rebbe, at so much so to bless and to give advice, even for the most insignificant, seemingly things, because another Yid's physicality is your spirituality. Okay, so yes, it's a very high level.
Can I just say that,
yeah.
We say in Shema every day, and we say, Yisem Kadoshim Clinton. So this is a reminder for us, so we get a daily reminder to people.
We have to be holy. We're separate and we're holy. And Atavachartanu, we're chosen from all other nations. We're special. We're not the same. We're not the same. And the way that we behave, is that mundane things, just for a mundane reason or purpose, that is disgraceful to us, because we're on a higher level where everything that we do, yes, we have to go into the physical world. Yes, we have to go to work for 6 days a week. But what's the purpose? The purpose isn't that I should lower myself into the mundane, but rather the purpose of having anything to do with the mundane is only to elevate it, not that it should affect me and make me lower and make me sink into the taivas and the donuts and every single flavor and every single cream and every that. The point is to take the donuts with the cream and to go to old age home and to go to lighting and to go give absolutely, because the second you're giving to someone else, it becomes holy. The second you're doing it for someone else, it's holy. But it's all in it's the mindfulness. It's the mindfulness behind it. The same thing for one person. If you're mindful, then it's holy, and if you're not mindful, then it's mundane. But again, Hashem is in the front center 24/7. That's the goal. Okay. Okay. Now the question is, how do we have the power to do this? Okay. Next paragraph.
A Jew must know that his being and entire identity is holy. His involvement with mundane things is only to elevate them to a state of purity. Just like the rest of the world reject stealing. No, that's what you read, no?
You take the next one after that. Yeah.
The next one.
Yeah, even on the level.
Okay, even on the level where Hashem does judge and care about the value of every creation down here, from Cholin, Hashem remains disconnected completely. We can do the same because every Jew is part of Hashem entirely.
Literally. Yeah. So now you say, how do I have the koyach? How can you expect me, little me, to do this, to live on this high level where there's no such thing as just mundane for mundane? You're holy. You're special. You have a neshama. You are a part of Hashem literally. And in this teaching, it doesn't say you have a neshama that's part of Hashem literally. In this teaching, it just says a Jew is a Jew is a part of Hashem literally.
Why is the Yetzer Hara so strong?
So because you're
Different shapes and sizes.
so because you're a part of Hashem, you're like Hashem. If Hashem doesn't sink into the mundane, right? And just to say to Hashem, it will be chulin for you to destroy the righteous with the wicked, that's enough. So for Hashem, because Hashem doesn't lower himself to the mundane for the mundane. So therefore, since you're a part of Hashem, you have the ability too, that you don't have to sink into the mud. You don't have to sink into the mud. You're able to you see, sink into the mud. One thing is there's a puddle and you go in. One is to sink in. So if I have to go in order to elevate something, it's one thing, but to sink in that you're 24/7 is all into what's the fashion and what's the style and what's the fanciest restaurant and where can I make the most money and what's the best deal. That lifestyle is what we're trying to. That's called sinking into the Gashmis. One of the Rabbeim said there was a chassid that he had a boot company. He would produce boots. That's what he would make. So the Rebbe said, I saw people that feet go into boots, but not that the head should be in the boots. You know, so we have to remember. We have to remember who we are. Okay, next paragraph.
The brothers didn't feel separated enough from Tefillin. They had a crack in their armor, and therefore the goblet the messenger did discover. The goblet represents using physical things as priority. This is the final event that led the Yidden into Galus, which controls the body.
Okay, so this is also a paragraph over here. The Shvatim, they were such great tzaddikim. You're asking about the Yetzer Hara, right? So we have armor. We have armor to protect ourselves from the Yetzer Hara. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Thanks for asking. So we have this armor to protect ourselves, right? And you could think of our soldiers in Israel, right? But what happens is if there's a crack in the armor, then you could get hurt, right? If the bulletproof vest is over here, but if someone shoots a person and there's a crack in the armor, they're not completely protected, then they could get hurt, right? So the brothers, they knew about this concept of chalila, of mundane, that we don't delve into the mundane just for the mundane. It's not, we don't lower ourselves. It's only for the purpose of elevating stuff. But there was a little crack in their armor, maybe because they were on such a high level. And therefore, the goblet was found in their possessions. The goblet represents the physicality, the mundane for mundane. And this was it's very, very interesting, and not by chance, that this is what led them to actually going into exile, because once the goblet was found in their bag, that was it. Then
it's very discouraging then, because if the goblet represents that no matter what great people they were mundane. Then if I do a chesed for somebody and I have a certain enjoyment or pleasure, then that would be the goblet. So
okay, that's not the goblet. The
No?
The goblet is sinking yourself into the fashion, into the vacation, into the money, into the if you have satisfaction from doing a mitzvah, that's not what the goblet's talking about. The goblet is talking about when you're sunk into gashmius for no other purpose other than your physical pleasure, enjoyment. That's it, not for a godly purpose.
Rationalize it.
So good, rationalize it, and then it's not mundane for mundane.
Yeah, if you
But-
need a vacation to be a better mother, you need a vacation to be a better wife.
Yeah, you make
Well,
that.
that's for the purpose of the color, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
For me, like.
But as
Happy if everyone comes tonight, not if everyone comes in Tuesday.
That brings to such a joy.
But the second you're mindful, your behavior is different. And the proof is like this. The proof is like this. I remember hearing a story. There was a kala, they had a lot of money, and they ordered these exquisite flowers. I don't remember the color. Maybe it was purple, pink, whatever this color that the kala loved, right? But because she was so mindful that why do I have the flowers, that the wedding should be beautiful, because we're celebrating the fact that we're starting another Jewish home. What happened? The flowers that arrived were white. Now you have two choices. You can have a meltdown and say, wait, this wedding is not happening until we go back to the florist and we get our flowers. I'm not going to the chuppah with the white flowers if I need pink and purple. Or you could say, you know what? There's another kala who got the pink and purple.
That's
You
what
know,
my mother did, and she goes, listen to me.
So then I heard the story from you. I heard the story from you.
I had heard a story. I come a week before my son's bar mitzvah, he's 19, just turned 19. And I come to maybe 2 days before to discuss the menu, like, what do I care? What are you serving? Anyway, he goes, oh my gosh, Mrs. Rubin, I double booked you. And I looked.
The old us?
It's not about the menu, it's the double book, yeah.
Okay, so literally this was like a 10-second, like what was going on in my head, I could make a fuss, or I could just be a mensch, and he's gonna show too, you know what I'm saying, he's gonna accommodate me. Anyway, he put me in another place that he was, and he accommodated me really very
Wow.
nicely. And I said to him, I started laughing, I said, you're lucky it's me, you know, whatever.
You absolutely was lucky.
My mother, you're
Yeah.
lucky. She goes, I'll get the white. I could live with it. The person who gets the purple is
I heard
not gonna
this-
be happy.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
So that's the
Or-
test. The test is how attached are we when something doesn't go?
Something doesn't go
Like, like, are we so upset about it? And if that's the case, then maybe our intention was wrong, but if we're like, okay.
Or we
so that's
forget that Hashem
that's-
is really in charge, so no
That's-
matter how you plan it, you planned it normally.
Right, if you take it with grace and we're not, so the plans are changed, whatever.
No,
Right.
but I'm saying how focused should I be on it right now? Like, that's what's on my head. My
It's-
sister just kind of gave us. I'm just like, yeah.
Wow.
Like,
But it's.
So you do it because it's but you're not like, you don't expect it. And if they tell you don't want to call, but that's all, you know, that's okay. It's not exact-
My
Because
sister,
God was
was-
working
my
with
sister's son was getting married.
Right intention, just doing it for the-
My sister's son was getting married, and a week before the wedding, all the gowns were
Oh,
not
that-
coming out.
That's crazy.
Was not.
That was scary.
It was so scary because the woman who sewed must have, I think she had corona and didn't realize it, or she had some kind of,
We
she
literally-
got sick, like she sews beautifully, and all of a sudden, all the dresses kaputke. And it was like a week before the wedding, it's like, what do you do with it? And she went, she uses this other dressmaker, just, I don't know.
The dressmaker fixed like 1 or 2 dresses.
And she
One
went,
dress, she told her daughter, married daughter, just, so she spent a little bit more money.
Go to the
one
store.
rental, The next rental, whatever, it worked out.
I took 10
Yeah.
dresses from here, schlepped it there, didn't work out.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And, you know,
But at the end, all worked out.
at the end,
I haven't seen my in-laws had the same thing, but I had no idea. They all had a gown mess up, but they showed up.
So by my wedding, my
It's like, the fact that you're even sharing it here, that shows a lot.
yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
Like, how important is all the other?
No, I enjoy it.
I'm
but
seeing
it's
this, but you don't wanna sink into it.
it to be, that's not what it's about. It's not
Right,
about
right.
me and my dress. Whatever, it's about her getting married.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
That's it.
so you'll do both, you'll be excited for her, and you'll get, you know.
But by you looking beautiful, you're enhancing the simcha. You're making the simcha so beautiful. It's all the, and the question is, when things don't work out, how overwhelmed and nervous and falling apart do you get? So by my wedding, we went to someplace in Williamsburg. We found this most stunning gown, and we took it to the seamstress to make it fit perfect, whatever. And lo and behold, I didn't know this, but just a few days before the wedding, the gown was gone. The seamstress didn't know where it was. I don't know, but my mother didn't even tell me. But so obviously she was able to, stay in control. But I don't know where they found the gown or whatever it was. But I didn't even know about the story until after the fact. Thank God. But the point is that when things go wrong, and you don't even see how it could be beneficial, what is your attitude then? And is the money, so I'll tell you on Sunday, is the money the most important thing? And is the money controlling me? Or am I humble enough to realize that Hashem is in control of the money and I don't have to worry? So what happened was Sunday, we had this menorah parade, right? And so my son, he's in Morristown Yeshiva, he's 18, and he brought 5 friends to help the menorah parade. Now, what boys have to do is they brought 30 menorahs or 25 menorahs from Morristown, and at the parade, all the cars that don't have menorahs on them, they have to take the menorahs, put them on the cars, and make it joyous and everything like that. So I was thinking to myself, I know, so my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are coming with 7 children. So I'm making a calculation, dinner is going to be 27 people. And in previous years, we go to Mike's Chicken, and I don't know how much money we spend, but we buy sandwiches in Mike's Chicken. I said, oh, I'm going to be so smart. 27 people. I'm going to make chicken and potatoes Sunday morning so that we don't have to spend the money on Mike's Chicken. Now, guess what happened? I don't know, you can't imagine what happened. But after the parade, everyone went home, everything's wonderful and great. We went, so someone said, let's go back inside, we'll go back upstairs. This was the first time that we had a menorah lighting in the town hall inside. So the menorah is so beautiful inside the town hall. Let's take our family picture by the menorah inside. So we all go upstairs, we let him take the picture, we're snapping, and all of a sudden one of the boys comes in, one of my son's friends, is there a first aid kit? So my husband's like, the Chatzala, there was an ambulance, it happened to have also been an ambulance, the ambulance just left, what's wrong? He just shows us his hand is all bloody. So we're like, okay, what happens? He says, he's like laughing. He says, I wanted to make it more freilach, more joyous. So I decided that I was going to stand on top of the roof of the truck and dance, but I didn't realize that it's a skylight, and I fell through the skylight, and I need a Band-Aid. Yeah. So the end is that Hatzalah came. The end is my husband was with him in the. First, my brother-in-law went, and then my husband went to the urgent care. By the time and now it's pouring rain. So besides the broken glass, you have torrents of rain ruining this rented vehicle, and somehow so they got a tarp to put so they could drive it to our house. But the tarp caved in with all the water on the boys. It was disaster. So by the time, and I'm thinking, first of all, there was no time for Mike's Chicken because we were busy there was chicken to eat, but I'm saying there was no time for Mike's Chicken because we were busy dealing with this disaster. So for 3 hours, my husband with this shop vac trying to get the water out of and the glass out of the we did get the family photo, but I'm telling you, I don't know how much damage. And then the buffer who rented the car was petrified. How is he going to return the car? And then they had to drive it an hour and a half, 2 hours back to Morristown. The end is they found a plexiglass in the basement, and they after 3 hours of trying to, and my husband's like, Chani, he's like, I need gloves to get rid of the glass. He takes my $40 gloves. he says, I'll replace them. Those are the end of the gloves. But then he realized that even with the gloves, the glass was going through. So after 3 hours of the shop vac getting the water and the glass out of the car, they took the plexiglass and they made themselves a roof and the garbage bags and tape and who knows what to get the roof, some kind of roof to get whatever. So the point is that you think you're so smart, you're gonna save a couple of bucks.
Anyone ate any chicken?
No. So everyone had.
We did.
But the point is, everyone had a great supper to eat, and everything was, and thank God there wasn't any worse damage. But
It was time, right, it was a switch.
by the time it was over, by the time the whole thing was over, was 2 a.m. And
Wow.
so by the time the last two boys went back to yeshiva. But the story is that you can't be smarter than Hashem, and I'm gonna be in control of the money, and I'm gonna decide. I learned the lesson. Okay. You have one more paragraph, which is another amazing lesson. Okay. It's another. Okay. One more paragraph only.
That's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
Only on the outside is gullus a reality, because the soul always remains liberated and free. When we view the mundane as a disgrace and let our souls shine, we rise above gullus and we realize that its purpose is to reach Mashiach's time.
Okay, so this is also an unbelievable packed paragraph. When we live in this way, when we're able to that the mundane, we're not sunk into the mundane. We know that everything that we do is all for a higher purpose. Then the galus, the exile. We said that the because of the goblet, what how did that result? How did that story end up? That the Jews who ended up in exile, because once they found the goblet, then they had to go back again to the king, and then Yosef wanted to keep Binyamin, and ultimately it ended up that all the brothers went to Egypt, that all the Jewish people went to Egypt. So the lesson is that when we live in this way, where we're not holding on to the goblet, when we're not holding on to the materialism and the mundane just for the sake of the mundane, then guess what? We're living this holy life. Then not only is our soul free from exile, but our body is free from exile too. We are not in control. The exile doesn't control us, and therefore you could have a parade and the rain could stop. And therefore, when you have that, I forgot to say the main point. Throughout this whole 3-hour ordeal of getting the water and the glass and everything out, my husband entire time didn't get frustrated once. Not one time did he. And my kid's like, "Oh, we're so upset that this happened." And my husband's like, "No, it was such a great day. We had the most amazing menorah parade, and everything worked out so beautifully. And the rain stopped, and then we had the police escort and the fire truck. And my husband was on the fire truck and threw down the coins and the parachutes and whatever it is. He was so positive and happy about the event. You could say, who needed the whole event? What a disaster, But the not to get, instead of, oh my goodness, how are we going to pay for this and what's going to be and what a disaster, and let the whole situation completely consume you, to rise above and say, thank you, Hashem, you made the rain stop, and to make all the children realize, you could say it wasn't worth it. What wasn't worth it? The damage, the cost, the this, the that, what a pain. But no, to say, I don't understand why it happened. But trust me, my kids all learned the lesson. And so did the boys. And then the next day, my husband went to there was a menorah lighting in Trenton, and there were boys there from Marston. So the whole yeshiva probably learned the lesson. But the point is, and even the boy who it happened to, he was smiling the entire time. I don't know what he was feeling inside. He's like, what? He's gonna have a meeting with the rabbi. Oh my gosh. But but everything's divine providence. And then Mushka and Uziel, they were in Newtown for a Sunday, and they said they're coming Sunday night. And I called them and I said, are you sure you're, I don't know if you should come because are you ready in the car? Because it's raining so badly. I don't know if you should come tonight, come tomorrow. He said, oh, we're ready driving, we'll be careful. Mushka and Uziel come from Newtown. I was already sleeping by this time, thanks to the baby. But this boy who this happened to, he knew Uziel from yeshiva in Postville, Iowa. So when he was on the outside, he had a smile, but on the inside, when he was like shattered, guess who was there? Uziel Weinstein, and he hugged him and embraced him. Oh, this was his mentor in the previous yeshiva. Wow. So just to see another face of someone that you know that cares about you, whatever it is, everything was divine providence. But the point is that when we live in this elevated state, when we're not controlled by the mundane, then not our soul and not our soul for sure not, but even our body won't be controlled by galus, by the exile. And when we live in this way, every situation that seems like, the shattering, the glass, literally, figuratively seems shattering, you're able to see that this galus experience is not just to give us a hard time. It's all for one thing. It's all to reach the geula. It's all for redemption. So don't wallow in the pain and be brokenhearted and go under your cover, under your bed and cry, but realize that every situation is just a stepping stone to get to the geula, to get to the final redemption. It's a test. It's a test of can you push through this issue without falling apart? Can you realize that somehow there's a God, that nothing happens by chance, and there, although it was a mistake, it's really not a mistake, because everything is really in Hashem's hands, and to put yourself in Hashem's hands and to be bigger than the situation, that's a big test. But to able to say, even in this, there's Hashem, to see things from a higher perspective, and not to get sunk into the trouble. That is what we gain. That is the lesson that we learn from just from one word in the Torah portion, which is Chalila. Thank you so much for coming. Happy Hanukkah, which is Chalila, which is that a Jew is above mundane, and mundane for mundane is a disgrace, because we're higher. We're higher than it all, and we could persevere and we could withstand anything. When we keep in mind, Hashem, you're in control. I don't understand it. There's damages to pay, whatever it is, but Hashem, you're in control. Hashem, you're the one that makes the money come. Take the money. It's all in your hands. There's someone that we know that long story, but she had a baby boy, and it's a big simcha, because she had a stillborn before this, and this is her first baby. And my sister-in-law got very close to her. She lived in our house. She's from Brazil. She had a gir kalacha because she couldn't prove that she was Jewish. A whole long story. And she lived in our house for like 4 months. And my sister-in-law came very close to her, because my sister-in-law unfortunately had a stillborn, and she had a stillborn. So when she she had this terrible thing, I couldn't comfort her. So I said, speak to my sister-in-law. She went through it. I can't, let my sister-in-law speak to her. And I connected them, and they became very close. And she had the baby, and then there was some complications. And on Friday, right before Shabbos, they found out that the bris was going to be on Sunday. And my sister-in-law didn't even know that the bris was going to be on Sunday, because she had already lit candles. And this new mommy and baby are in Chicago, which is a little bit later. After Shabbos, my sister-in-law looks at the phone, and she realizes that the bris is going to be on Sunday. And her own son needed to get stitches and urgent care and everything else. By the time she got to the phone, it was 11 p.m. on Motzei Shabbos. She booked a ticket to Chicago at 11:30 p.m. The flight left the airport at 7-something or 8-something, and then returned at 7:30 on the same day. So obviously it wasn't a cheap ticket. And she bought the ticket. She went. She surprised our friend Rachi Sarah Mariana. She surprised her for the bris, and she said to me, she said, "Hani, Money goes and money comes, and she did this special thing. So when we just realize who's in charge, and we don't let the troubled situations
The suffering.
take us down, that's how we could then the gullus does not control our body, and we realize that the gullus in every single situation is just another stepping stone to the geula, and the gullus is not. Gullus is empty. It's empty space. It's empty space, and the more holiness, when we live on a holy plane, then the gullus will just disappear. And how can we connect it with Hanukkah? Hanukkah is all about light. And what kind of, let's connect it to Hanukkah. So Hanukkah was all about the pure jug of oil, right? They could have lit a non-pure oil, would have been fine. But it's all about the purity. It's all about the holiness. The Greeks they said, oh, you can learn Torah, but not that it should be connected to Hashem. They wanted to separate the holiness of the Torah from the they wanted to separate the holiness and learn Torah that it should be a mundane activity like you learn any other science. So there was it was a fight. It was a fight against holiness, and what we're celebrating is the holiness. We're celebrating the fact that Hashem reciprocated the Mesiras Nefesh that we had, this love, this extra special love and connection to Hashem. That's what we're celebrating. The fact that Hashem made that the oil should burn for 8 days and nights expresses Hashem's love for us. That we are different and we are holy because we went out of our way for Hashem. Hashem went out of.
Good enough is not good enough. So when we do this way with Hashem,
yes, and Hashem made sure that we would find the oil that was specifically holy to last for 8 days. This shows Hashem's love for us. And this is what and this is the connection of Hanukkah. Not the Greeks, the Greeks, what do they want? Worship the body, right? And what does Hanukkah say? Be holy.
Is that the concept that you were saying before about worshiping the body? Is that the piece?
No, I'm saying the Greeks wanted that and to worship the body, but we say no, we're not going to worship the body. We're going to rise above. We're going to rise above, and then even the gullus can't control our physical situation. We're way above it. The gullus we're way above the gullus. The gullus does not hold us back or have any power over us. We're living in a realm of light, and we're above the darkness. And we realize that the darkness is just the absence of light. And with living this holy lifestyle, we dispel the gullus, we dispel the darkness, and we merit the geula. It should be now.
Okay. Nice, thank you.
Pleasure.